Making the elps telpas connection, grades K through 12 overview. This presentation is designed to familiarize campus and district administrators and teachers with the holistically rated components of telpas and how the Texas English Language Proficiency Standards ELPS in conjunction with telpas support sound instructional practices for English learners, ELs. The term English learners, or ELs, is used to refer to students designated as limited English proficient English learner in the Public Education Information Management System, or PIEMS. Session objectives. To show the close connection between the Texas English Language Proficiency Standards, ELPS, and the Texas English Language Proficiency Assessment System, TELPAS. Number 2, to reinforce the benefits of using the ELPS to teach and assess English learners, ELs, effectively throughout the school year. 3, to lay the foundation for the spring training of new TELPAS raters. Definitions. What are the ELPS? They are federally required instructional standards designed to ensure that ELs are taught the academic English they need for school purposes. What is TELPAS? A federally required assessment program designed to measure the annual progress that ELs make in learning the English language. What are TELPAS raters? They are educators trained to assess ELs for TELPAS. The ELPS are used in foundation and enrichment instruction of K through 12 ELs. TELPAS assesses K through 12 ELs. The ELPS and TELPAS encompasses, which are 4 language domains of listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and the 4 proficiency levels of beginning, intermediate, advanced, and advanced high. Who takes TELPAS? All ELs in grades K through 12, including those whose parents declined bilingual English as a second language ESL program services, are assessed annually. In extremely rare cases, an EL served by special education may not be required to A. Participate in one or more TELPAS language domains by the Admission, Review, and Dismissal ARD Committee in conjunction with the Language Proficiency Assessment Committee, LPAC, or may be eligible to participate in TELPAS alternative. TELPAS provides proficiency level ratings for each language domain, which are listening, speaking, reading, and writing, plus an overall composite rating. These ratings are beginning, intermediate, advanced, and advanced high. The composite ratings takes all language domains into account. The composite rating weights are 25% for each domain. TELPAS uses online tests to assess 2nd grade to 12th grade in listening, speaking, and reading. TELPAS uses a holistic rating process and classroom performance to assess 2nd through 12th writing and K through 1st listening, speaking, reading, and writing. TELPAS results are used to set learning goals for ELs, keep parents and students aware of annual progress in learning English, inform instructional planning and bilingual ESL programs, classification decisions, report performance to the public, evaluate programs, resources, and staffing patterns, evaluate districts and campuses in federal and state accountability and monitoring indicators. English Language Proficiency Standards, or the ELPS, were approved by State Board of Education in 2007-2008, are part of the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, TEKS, state required curriculum, include instructions school districts must provide to give ELs full opportunity to learn English and succeed academically, require content area teachers to teach content area TEKS, and help ELs become English proficient, are an integral part of instruction in each TEKS foundation and enrichment subject. The elps add to the content area TEKS and do not constitute a separate or substitute curriculum for ELs. Content area teachers provide instruction in both the grade level content area TEKS and elps. The elps components. Section A, the introduction, provides the rationale for the standards and their integration into all subjects of the foundation and enrichment curriculum. Section B, the district's responsibility, sets forth the instructional framework, namely, to know the student's proficiency level and what each level means, to use the information to linguistically adjust content area instruction with the dual goals of helping the student learn, 1, the content area, and 2, English, to intervene in especially intensive ways to accelerate the second language acquisition of students who are at the beginning or intermediate level in grade 3 and up. Section C, Student Expectations for Second Language Acquisition, contains student expectations that specify what students need to learn to acquire a second language for academic purposes. The learning strategies maximize progress in the 4 language domains of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Section D, Proficiency Level Descriptors for each language domain, contains proficiency level descriptors, or PLDs, that describe how well students communicate in English at each stage of acquisition or proficiency level. The 4 proficiency levels are described for each language domain. The following is an example of student expectations, or SEs, and proficiency level descriptors, or PLDs. The SEs are designed to be able to be effectively integrated into content area instruction by any content area teacher. They do not require a particular specialization in second language acquisition. The PLDs describe the major features of each English language proficiency level within each language domain assessed. Telpas measures the elps. The two are integrally aligned. Measuring the elps. Telpas assesses the abilities outlined in the elps students' expectations and reports performance in alignment with the elps proficiency level descriptors, or PLDs. For the holistically rated components of Telpas, the SEs are not assessed in isolation. They are reflected holistically in the PLDs. The online Telpas listening, speaking, and reading tests for grades 2nd through 12th do not use a holistic approach. Each test question measures a specific SE. PLDs and instruction. Teachers should use the PLDs throughout the school year as formative assessment rubrics to stay attuned to the English language proficiency levels of their students, monitor progress, linguistically tailor accommodate content area instruction, and integrate second language instruction according to the proficiency level needs of their ELs as the students learn more English. The PLDs are intended for use in ongoing instruction and should not be thought of as information to use just for Telpas. PLDs and statewide assessment. Educators assigned to be the official Telpas raters of ELs are trained to use the PLDs accurately and consistently statewide. For the Telpas holistically rated domains, trained raters officially determine the English language proficiency levels of ELs in the spring. ELs should be making steady progress all year. Telpas is a summative assessment that documents the proficiency levels of ELs as a statewide spring assessment. Summative Telpas assessment. Telpas answers the following question. How well is the student currently able to understand and use English during grade level instruction? Teachers should clearly understand that this is the main question that they are answering when they holistically assess students using the PLDs. Benefit of telpas rater training on formative classroom assessment. Teachers trained as telpas raters internalize the PLDs so that they are able to naturally and automatically assess their students' English language proficiency levels during ongoing classroom instruction. Benefit of using PLDs in instruction. Teachers learn to make effective linguistic accommodations in class, which supports learning of academic subject matter, TEKS content area, students' expectations, and learning of English language, ELPS, the students' expectations. Reviewing the ELPS telpas connection. Teachers use the ELPS, SEs, and PLDs in instruction and for formative assessment all year. telpas raters are trained in depth to learn to use the PLDs for the official purpose of statewide assessment. In-depth telpas raters training makes ongoing formative use of the PLDs easy and serves the purpose of statewide assessment. For domains not holistically rated by telpas, listening, speaking, and reading in grades 2nd through 12th, teachers should be trained, become familiar with the ELPS, SEs, and PLDs to incorporate in classroom instruction and use during formative assessments. Assessment information for administrators and teachers. To prepare for a new school year, use telpas results to evaluate whether students have been making steady progress in learning English. telpas confidential campus rosters include 2 years of test scores and how long students have been in U.S. schools. Teachers assemble a collection of each student's writing from a variety of content areas. Trained raters use the collection as the basis for evaluating the student's English language proficiency in writing. Note that for ongoing formative assessment in grades 2nd through 12th, teachers use classroom observations and interactions in addition to students' writing samples to monitor and promote growth in English language writing proficiency. For telpas, only the student's writing collection is used when assessing English language writing proficiency. Information from classroom observations and interactions is not used. In the spring, new raters in grades 2nd through 12th complete an online basic training course and practice rating activity in the domain of writing. New raters and returning raters complete calibration activities to ensure that they are prepared to apply the PLD rubrics consistently and accurately. Returning raters have the option of reviewing the online basic training course if desired before completing calibration activities. There are 2 sets of calibration activities. For 2nd through 12th, each set contains 10 writing collections. Raters successful on the first set do not calibrate further. Only individuals who do not rate accurately enough on the first set will complete the second set. Individuals not successful on the second set will either not be used as raters, a district decision, or will be provided rater support in accordance with test administration regulations. A rater does not need to have the student in the class at the time of the spring assessment window. Teachers are still required to assemble student writing collections. The rater, including a substitute teacher, selected to rate an EL must hold valid Texas education credentials, such as a teacher's certificate or permit, and be appropriately trained in the holistic rating process. In rare circumstances, an EL may be approved for a special administration for the listening and speaking domains. In this situation, the teacher must rate the student in all the eligible domains. A campus is not permitted to use different raters for different domains. A teacher, including a substitute teacher, selected to rate an EL must have the student in class at the time of the spring assessment window, be knowledgeable about the student's ability to use English in instructional and informal settings, hold valid Texas education credentials such as a teacher certificate or permit, and be appropriately trained in the holistic rating process. In determining the proficiency rating of their assigned students, raters are highly encouraged to collaborate with other teachers and school personnel who have knowledge of the student's English proficiency. This type of communication and collaboration among teachers promotes discussion that leads to improved instructional strategies for ELs. To maximize student learning, teachers should engage in this type of collaboration at regular intervals during the school year. At the time of the spring telpas administration, collaboration among teachers helps ensure rating accuracy. Collaboration is particularly important when a student has different content area teachers and/or is near the border between two proficiency levels. After collaborating with other teachers, the official rater is responsible for assigning the rating. Districts are required to implement procedures that ensure validity and reliability of the holistic rating process. Procedures may vary by campus at district discretion. From 1 year from the date of testing, campuses maintain documentation of the procedures followed. The Texas Education Agency conducts periodic audits of the telpas holistic assessment process. The goals of the audits are to examine whether the ratings reflect appropriate and consistent application of the PLD rubrics and school district personnel follow training and test administration procedures. District and campus administrators, as well as teachers, should understand the essential of the second language acquisition process. Understanding language proficiency in social and academic settings. In 1981, Canadian professor and researcher Jim Cummins introduced these terms. The triangular graphic represents his iceberg model and shows two types of language proficiency: social, the visible portion above the water's surface, and academic, the submerged portion. Both types of language proficiency are important for academic success. Students must be able to understand and use the English of everyday social and routine classroom interactions, as well as the English they need for accessing and negotiating learning, processing cognitively demanding information, and building conceptual understanding. BICS is everyday language needed for daily social interactions. BICS are acquired more quickly than CALP and are often easy to observe. Examples of BICS for listening and speaking is highly routine classroom interactions, discourse among friends in the hallway between classes, at recess, at lunch, on the school bus, on the telephone, at the mall, etc. For reading and writing, we have reading a note from a friend, composing reading casual letters and emails, reading a bulletin board, announcements, and other environmental print, writing lists, etc. CALP is the language needed to access learning in academic settings. This is the language students need in order to think critically, understand and learn new concepts, process complex academic material, and interact and communicate in academic contexts. The part of the iceberg has more depth because this type of language proficiency takes longer to acquire. Examples of CALP for listening and speaking are participating in class discussions, listening to presentations, understanding language used cognitively demanding explanations, presenting results of science experiments and observations. For reading and writing, reading a book or an article to gain information, writing an essay or story, building conceptual knowledge through reading classroom material. The argument for academic English proficiency. There is a distinction between language proficiency as a whole, academic achievement as a whole, and the overlapping section, academic language proficiency. Academic language proficiency is not the same as academic achievement, but is an essential enabling component of academic achievement. ELs who have academic language proficiency understand the English that makes learning of academic concepts and skills fully accessible. Academic language proficiency, therefore, provides the foundation for and access to academic achievement. Conceptual knowledge and skills, not just academic language proficiency, are necessary for academic achievement. Language proficiency encompasses both social language proficiency and academic language proficiency. Social language proficiency includes language of social interactions, language acquisition, often outside of school, tied to everyday life, and is grounded in language proficiency standards. Academic language proficiency includes language of content-based instruction, language acquisition mainly within school, tied to school life, and is grounded in language proficiency standards. Academic achievement, concepts of content-based instruction, conceptual development, tied to curriculum in specific content areas, and is grounded in academic content standards. Building English language proficiency, a cumulative process. This graphic illustrates that second language learning is a cumulative, spiraling, and a building process. The language skills associated with a given level are prerequisites to the broader range of skills at the next level. The arrows indicate that language continues to develop beyond the advanced high level. This level is not intended to be equal to the English language proficiency of a student whose first language is English. Over time, advanced high ELs understand finer nuances of English, meaning, use more natural phrasing, and learn low-frequency words, idioms, sayings, etc., that are typically familiar to individuals whose first language is English. Students move through the proficiency level at different rates depending on factors such as age, language facility, and instructional variables. Some students progress more frequently in certain domains than others, like some students may progress more quickly in speaking than writing. In addition, students may move through certain levels more quickly or slowly than other levels. Without appropriate instruction, for example, some second language learners may experience a plateau at the intermediate or advanced level. These students need carefully targeted linguistic support to help them attain the level of English they need to make the learning of academic concepts easier. Each proficiency level encompasses a range of growth and has an early, middle, and late stage. Students in the latter stages of a level demonstrate language features that peak into the next level. Students in the early stages of a new level occasionally demonstrate language features that spike down to the previous levels. Raters should not classify a student in a level unless the student now performs most consistently at that level. When a student is near the border between two levels, raters need to determine at which level the student performs most consistently. ELs at the advanced high level need only minimal support specific to second language acquisition. They know enough academic English to use the English language as an effective medium for learning academic material, with minimal second language acquisition support in a regular English instructional setting. Linguistic domains. This slide shows what the 4 linguistic domains mean in relation to evaluating the English language development of an English learner. Note that the definitions are not tied to academic achievement, but rather to the communication skills that second language learners need in order to use English as an effective medium for academic instruction at their grade levels. Listening is the ability to understand spoken language, comprehend and extract information, and follow social and instructional discourse through which information is provided. Speaking is the ability to use spoken language appropriately and effectively in learning activities and social interactions. Reading is the ability to comprehend and interpret written text at the grade appropriate level. Writing is the ability to produce written text with content and format to fulfill grade appropriate classroom assignments. Teaching language through content area instruction. Communication skills in listening, speaking, reading, and writing are at the core of all academic learning. As shown in the graphic, when content area teachers give ELs frequent, targeted practice in listening, speaking, reading, and writing in English, they build the English communication skills that enable ELs to develop and/or apply critical processing and thinking skills. ELs need frequent opportunities to practice new English vocabulary and language structures. The student expectations presented in the ELPs make sure these needs are addressed. ELs internalize the English they are exposed to much more readily when they actively practice and use language through speaking and writing activities. Having plenty of speaking and writing opportunities in content area instruction is beneficial for all students, but is particularly important for ELs. It helps them not only learn the academic concepts of the content area, but also internalize basic and academic English vocabulary. Teachers should not assume that ELs internalize language just by hearing it or seeing it in writing. Internalize in this context means making newly learned English stick as a permanent rather than temporary part of an EL's bank of English. ELs at the beginning and intermediate proficiency levels are bombarded with new language during daily instruction delivered in English. They cannot internalize everything they are exposed to. The language that sticks is language that they frequently encounter, language presented in interesting and relevant contexts, and language they actively practice and use. Ways ELPs and telpas reinforce quality instruction. Because of their English limitations, ELs are sometimes hesitant to participate in class and reluctant to try to express thoughts and ideas in English. Through the ELPs and telpas, teachers are encouraged to interact more with their ELs and give them frequent opportunities to use and practice their developing English. Teachers of ELs have a better understanding that the way ELs communicate as they learn English is a natural part of second language acquisition. This helps teachers put students at ease, which in turn helps ELs feel less reluctant about taking risk and trying to express themselves in English. When teachers collaborate, they learn from each other and share instructional strategies that help their ELs. Some content area teachers may be accustomed to thinking only in terms of whether students are able to perform required grade level academic skills. The ELPs and telpas help teachers also think in terms of how the language development of ELs affects their academic learning and how helping ELs with English supports their ability to achieve academically. Linguistically accommodating instruction delivered in English means making it comprehensible to a student who struggles to understand the English language. Any student has difficulty learning challenging academic material when the language used in instruction is over their heads. Using language at the level an EL currently understands helps the student more effectively learn academic content taught in English. Communicating with ELs only at their current level of understanding is not sufficient. Teachers must also make gradual and deliberate efforts to move students from their current level of English proficiency to higher levels. The PLDs give teachers a roadmap for doing this. When teachers are successful in helping students reach higher proficiency levels, teachers and students both benefit. Teachers benefit because they don't need to make such extensive linguistic accommodations during instruction, which makes their job easier. Students benefit because they become more proficient in English, which builds their confidence and makes it easier for them to learn academic material taught in English. The bottom line: effective implementation of the ELPS and telpas assessment throughout the school year helps ELs learn English more quickly and grasp academic concepts and skills more readily.